Good morning, or is it afternoon? Where's everyone located? Can you hear me? All right.
Yes. Yeah. Can you hear me?
Hey, here just fine.
Okay.
How are you doing?
Good.
All right. Where are you zooming in from?
Near Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Okay. Okay, well, I guess that would make sense since it's bug Badgerland users.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
It's noon. It's gonna be noon here shortly.
yeah. I apologize for my screen being so dark. I don't know how to make it any lighter in here. I had I had on some other lights, but it didn't really seem to help.
It doesn't look too bad.
Yeah. Well, you're not really here to see me. You're here to see GD&T advisor. So just as long as that's bright, then it's all good, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So where do you work, Jeff?
GE Healthcare.
Okay. What do you do for them?
Mechanical design engineer.
Okay.
I work on they call it the incubator line of products.
All right.
So incubators, baby warmers, things like that.
Cool. Never a shortage need, never need, run out of a need for that. So if
Yeah,
we do,
definitely.
I'll be in trouble, I guess.
Yeah.
So as it pertains to GD&T advisor, what were you hoping to get out of the session today?
Mainly just information, just how it's used, what it looks like,
Okay.
the interface.
Does
I actually haven't used it through Creo.
does your company currently have licenses?
I believe so.
Okay. All right. Do you use GD&T regularly?
Yeah. I mean, once when you're in the design phase of things, yes.
Okay. All right. Well, um, when did you first see it or get exposed to it?
Um, oh God, I'm not even sure, to be honest with you.
But it's been a while.
It's been a while, yeah.
Okay.
We
All right.
usually do things on the side when it comes to tolerancing and things like that. So I want to see how we can utilize Creo.
So for tolerance analysis, what do you guys do? What do you use?
Essentially, we have a spreadsheet that we use. We're just plugging in numbers.
Got you. Are they mostly 1D in nature, or does it get into?
Yeah, 1D in nature typically.
Okay. Well, at the towards the end of our discussion regarding GD&T advisor, hopefully there'll be some time left over where we could show you some of Sigmatrix's tolerance analysis tools, and how they actually use GD&T annotations. Just to give you kind of a flavor of what we have and how it could help. So have you always lived in the Milwaukee area? Is that where you said you were at?
Yeah, I've been here my whole life.
Okay.
Never left.
So you're used to that cold, because I came up to I came up to Bug, I think it was 2 years ago, and I can't remember. I think somebody said it was unseasonably cold at the time, and I was just like, "Oh, okay." You know, I'm from Los Angeles, so, you
What
know,
time? What time of the year did you come?
in the winter.
In the winter.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was, it was cold to me, and some of the people who were attending the conference actually said it was cold to them, and I was just like, "Man, if it's cold to you, then" you know,
Yeah.
I really have an issue.
Can everybody hear me?
Can hear you just fine.
Okay, thank you. I don't have my headphone on. So I've got 11:56 and it looks like Raman Jones is on, so that's good. I don't know how many people were expecting. I only had 11 registrations, but people don't always register, which is okay, but it does kind of help us know if people are interested in planning to attend. I'm just gonna go, you guys have all seen this many times, but yeah, 12:02, 12:01, we'll start with Sigmatrix. And they will have the whole hour if they need it. But I want the meeting to end at 1 o'clock. You should be muted, but I'm happy you guys are talking now, that's fine. You can have your video on if you want. So everyone knows BadgerUG User Group was established in 1994. We've been having 3 meetings a year for that many years. And last year, we were virtual. Here's some of our sponsors. Here's our main target area. Oh, sounds like there's a tree guy next door making noise. We've got membership dues. This year is half price because of the Zoom. Our Blue Harbor has 8/6, August 6th has been canceled. It's a very expensive venue, so we just didn't think we'd get enough people to justify it. Contact me or us, any of us at BadgerUG.com if you have questions or suggestions. My email, deborah.l.white@gmail.com. Coming up June 14th, TriStar is going to be talking about what's new in Creo 8. I talked about this before, but on the ptcuser.org website, there's a new login. You log in with your email and then you have to request a new password. And then another upcoming thing that I'd like people to tell their admins, June 8th, Tuesday, we do our bug admin roundtable. So people who are working as administrators, CAD or Windchill or both, stop on in for the lunch break, 12 to 1. Even if you only want to just stop in and ask a question, actually not stop in, call in. That would be fine. We're always looking for new people to add to it. And that's all I've got. I've got 11:59. If anyone has any questions, go ahead and shout it out. Otherwise, I will stop sharing and I will mute myself.
Okay. So
Raman, are you there?
yeah, I'm here. So is that my signal to take it away?
Yeah, unless anybody has anything, otherwise I will hang up. I will stop my video and stop my sound. I'll try to watch the chat and I'll try to help if there's questions. And yeah, like I said, if it's 30 minutes or 60 minutes, that's fine with us. And people, yeah, feel free to ask questions so it's more interesting. Looks like we only have 11 participants so far, but it is just 12 o'clock. So.
Okay.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Deborah. Well, before we get started, officially at 12:03, would anyone like to share briefly what they were looking to get out of our discussion today? Just want to, if you have exposure to GD&T Advisor in the past and haven't really used it much and would just like to see how it works, or or anything along those lines. Would anybody like to go ahead and offer a few things that they were trying to glean from today's session? And if not, I mean, I can just go ahead and get started, and we can just field the questions as they come into your mind, during our discussion. Well, let's go ahead and just do that for right now. We'll just go ahead and get into our discussion. I'm going to share my screen and my presentation. Hope everyone is doing well today. And so for our session today, we'll be discussing GD&T Advisor for the Badgerland Conference. And this is just a little bit about me, just so you can have a little bit of context for who's presenting to you today. My name is Raman Jones. I'm currently an applications engineer for Sigmatrix, and I have some experience as a mechanical and manufacturing engineer in various environments. I've used GD&T and had to do tolerance analysis during my career. And I just want to make sure that companies are able to use GD&T and effectively use the tolerance analysis to produce better products. So a little bit about what we're going to be discussing today. Go over a little bit about Sigmatrix as an organization, and then after that, we'll get into the things that you've been coming to the session for, which is looking at GD&T Advisor. Just like to emphasize, if you have any questions about anything that you're seeing, you can mention it then. Feel free to interrupt. If you just want to put it in the chat, that's fine. Deborah said that she would help me fill those. Also on the call is Alana Duma. She is our marketing director for Sigmatrix, and she could probably also help fill those questions as well. And one thing that I'd just like to preface when we get into our discussion about GD&T Advisor, this is really just going to be focused on the tool. This is not going to be a discussion about the best practices of applying GD&T to your designs. That's definitely something that Sigmatrix as an organization can help you with, but that's not the focus of our discussion right now. We're really just going to focus on GD&T Advisor, how it works, how it can help you apply author annotations in accordance with the standards. And then if we have any time left over towards the end, we'd like to showcase some of our tolerance analysis tools and really the relationship between GD&T Advisor and our tolerance analysis tools that we offer. So with that, let's talk a little bit about Sigmatrix. As an organization, we're passionate about helping manufacturing companies produce better products through mechanical variation management. And there are 5 specific ways that we believe that we bring value to you in this space. Maximizing your return on your MBD or MBE investment. And if you're not familiar with those terms, MBD means model-based definition and MBE is a model-based enterprise. And MBD is essentially where the model is the master. That means that it is the vessel through which your design intent is communicated to your downstream partners, as opposed to using drawings to do as the primary means of communication. And specifically how GD&T Advisor will help you with this is you will be using GD&T Advisor to author annotations in a way that's conforms to the ASME Y14.5 standard that governs GD&T and the ASME Y14.41 standard that governs model-based definition, or MBD. And GD&T is a language, so we want to make sure that when you're communicating your design intent to your downstream partners, that things don't get lost in translation. I used to work for a Australian company a couple jobs ago, and I remember sometimes meeting with them, and they would say, they'd be using Queen's English, and they would say things like, every fortnight we're going to do such and such. And I had to look that up in Wikipedia. What is fortnight? Well, it's every 2 weeks. Well, we don't use that language in America. So I had to get an understanding to make sure that things weren't getting lost in translation. Also, when you are communicating your design intent, once you author these annotations, how do you know the values that you put in the tolerance values that you put in the annotations are preserving your design intent? And that's where our tolerance analysis tools come in to help give you that assurance that you are communicating your design intent, or that you are communicating things in a way that preserve your design intent. And then improving profitability by balancing product quality with manufacturing costs. As an engineer, I mostly did a lot of worst case analysis. And one of the features that we have, or one of the benefits of using our tolerance analysis tools, is that we give you a worst case and a statistical analysis without you having to be a statistical expert to actually use the tool to receive a statistical analysis, which is the fundamental means by which you would be able to evaluate your manufacturing process capability against your product cost. So that's the fundamental ability that we give you, or value that we give you in our tolerance analysis tools, to be able to effectively balance that product quality with your manufacturing costs. And then achieving faster time to market by reducing design and prototype cycles. I like to basically sum this one up by saying, if I only knew then what I know now, which is something that we probably ask a lot in life. But if you use our tools early in the design cycle, then you can avoid a lot of those if-onlys down the line. And then deliver more innovative products through better understanding of mechanical variation. So, there's a saying that says, invention, necessity is the mother of invention. And if you don't know or have an understanding of what is actually causing the problem, then it reduces your chances that you will innovate and produce a better product. And our solutions will give you an understanding of what's actually causing variation, so that you can make some evaluations to innovate, to solve the problem. And then capturing, transferring, and retaining critical product and process knowledge. A lot of times, especially with tolerance analysis, we say that our main competitor is Microsoft Excel, because that's what people are doing a lot of times, is using spreadsheets. And anybody can author a spreadsheet and do a tolerance analysis in a spreadsheet and then retain it wherever they felt like saving it. And that could be a problem, especially if that person leaves the company, then that knowledge just walks out the door with them. So also, as it pertains to GD&T Advisor, it can serve as your subject matter expert, not necessarily as it pertains to how to apply GD&T to your specific design, but making sure that you're communicating in a way that's consistent with the language. So if you don't have a subject matter expert at your company, or if they're busy, then you can rely on the information that is within GD&T Advisor to help you, and it can serve as your SME in that regard. So just a little bit about our product portfolio before we jump into our GD&T Advisor discussion. We have GD&T Advisor. That's what we're going to be focusing on first, helping you author those annotations in a way that conform to the standards. Then we also have our tolerance analysis tool, CTOL, which is our 3D tolerance analysis tool. EasyTol, which is our 1D tolerance analysis tool. And we have our, and actually for PTC users, for Creo users, it's actually Easy Tolerance Analysis extension, which is an embedded tool within the Creo environment, whereas CTOL works in tandem with your active session of Creo. And then last, we have our services. And if you have a tolerance analysis problem that you either don't have the expertise for, don't have the time for, or both, consult with us. We'd be happy to help you, lend you our expertise and our resources to help you analyze that issue. And then along with that, we have training, GD&T classes, and that would actually get into more of your applying GD&T in a way that's more beneficial for your designs. And that also falls into our consulting services as well. And we also have our software training classes, along with our tolerance analysis classes. So with that, let's talk about our model that we'll be applying or using GD&T Advisor to apply annotations. So we have this caster wheel assembly that you see on your left. We have our axle support that's part of the caster wheel assembly, and within the for the caster wheel, or excuse me, for the axle support, the annotations that we'll be adding using GD&T Advisor are the ones that you see on your right. Okay, so we're going to transition over into our active session of Creo. You'll find GD&T Advisor underneath the Applications tab, and this is where you start it. These are all the tools that are available to you to help you author the annotations within GD&T Advisor. We have our feature tree. This is where you will see a listing of all the features that will have annotations associated with them. And then below that, we have our advisor tree. The advisor tree serves as your guide to help make sure that you are creating the standards in a way that's consistent, or excuse me, creating the annotations in a way that's consistent with the standards. And it will do that through a series of messages. And the messages will be organized in informational, warning, and error. And if you right-click on a message, you can get to the help system. And in the help system, it'll give you more of a description of what the message is actually telling you. Okay, so let's go ahead and author our first annotation using the tolerance feature tool. We're going to start with this surface that we identified as Datum A on the previous slide. Now, when we click OK or submit, here we see the first place that GD&T Advisor is giving you an education about how to author the standard or author the annotation in a way that's consistent with the standard. This drop-down menu is a listing of all of the geometric characteristics that are within the standard, but it's filtered. And the green highlighted characteristics are the ones that would be most preferred for this particular feature. So we have profile of a surface and flatness is identified as being the most preferred characteristic based off of the fact that there's an asterisk right next to the description. So why would flatness be the most preferred characteristic over profile of a surface? Well, the reason is profile of a surface deals with not only form, but location and orientation. And since this is the first feature that we are authoring an annotation for in the model, it doesn't have anything for it to be located or oriented to. So that's why flatness would be the most preferred characteristic. And GD&T Advisor will automatically pick the most preferred characteristic to be used, but you do have the option to change that if you wish. Here we can change the tolerance value. We can choose whether or not we want this to be a datum feature, and we can choose what datum we want it to be. Okay, so now we have successfully added in our first annotation. So what I've also created are, these are what we call combination states. And the combinations, using the combination states, you can organize your annotations into views that can be used later on in the drawings or well, drawing. So if you can use your combination states to organize your annotations. And what we'll do for this one is we're going to we want to add that to a view. Actually, what I need to do is to make sure I'm out of GD&T Advisor. And here we can choose the current orientation. Actually, you know what we'll do? Instead of messing with that right now, we're just going to author all of our annotations, and then we'll come back and do that. So we've added in our first annotation flatness of 0.05, and we called it datum A. So next what we want to do is add in our next feature. And we see that tolerance of position is the most preferred characteristic based on the fact that it's green and also has that asterisk. There are other selections that can be made, but you can also see in the drop-down menu, there's an additional message when we hover over one of the characteristics. In this case, it says angularity will result in an under-constrained feature. So that means that there are some degrees of freedom that won't be completely constrained if we just choose angularity. So we're going to leave the choice as tolerance of position. Here, if you wish, you can change the tolerances for the feature of size. And we're going to update our tolerance value. Here we can change the material modifier regardless of feature size, maximum or least material condition, and we have the option of changing the datum reference. We will leave this as datum B, but also what we'll do is we want to control the orientation back to datum A with the parallelism. We want to refine it, so we'll go ahead and author that. Next, we're going to add in a feature for datum C. So here, perpendicularity is the most preferred, but angularity and profile of a surface can also be used. And we're going to change this tolerance value to 0.5. We'll leave our datum reference as A and B. And we will author that annotation there. The next one that we will add in for this bottom surface, we'll have a profile of a surface of 0.5 reference back to datum A. And then last, we're going to add in a tolerance pattern for these holes. And we don't want to change the tolerance value. Tolerance position is the preferred characteristic. We'll change this to 0.2. Leave it at regardless of feature size. And now we've added in all the annotations that we want to add at this point. One thing I would like to also show is we have the show high constraint tool. This will give you visualization of what is actually constrained by annotations in your model. Green is fully constrained, yellow is partially constrained, unconstrained is gray, and blue is constrained by a general profile node. For the rest of the unconstrained surfaces, we'll use the Edit Properties tool to add in a general profile node, and we'll add in a tolerance value for that node. And now we have a fully constrained model. So if we go to the advisor, we can also see that we have an error message that says the orientation tolerance must be smaller than the location tolerance. And if we don't understand that, what that means, we can access help. And what this is basically saying is that this orientation tolerance should be a refinement of the location tolerance. So what we can do to resolve that is to go back and essentially make this tolerance value smaller than this one, so it's actually a refinement. So that's just one example of how GD&T Advisor through the advisor tree messages will help you help ensure that you create annotations that conform to the standard. All right, so are there any questions about anything that you've seen thus far? Questions that you have about GD&T Advisor before we transition and talk a little bit about our tolerance analysis tools? All right, no questions? Everybody's pretty either in awe with what you saw or everything is completely straightforward. Have any of you had to use GD&T Advisor or have been exposed to GD&T Advisor at all?
I haven't.
You have not, or you have?
I have not. So this is
Okay.
very interesting.
Okay. Well, what interests you the most about the tool?
Well, it's nice that this is sort of more of an MBD format as opposed to trying to lob everything into the drawing file directly. It's nice attaching it directly to the model too. Are you going to be coming back to how to orient this stuff in the different views, or will that be later?
I can go ahead and do that right now, in fact.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. So let's go ahead and do that. And it's one thing that's a huge advantage, I believe, that GD&T Advisor has. It's just the fact that if you compare all the clicks that we did in GD&T Advisor versus the embedded tools within Creo, you'll see if you were to try to do all this using the annotate tools, there's a lot more clicks and picks that you would have to do in order to get to this point. Everything within GD&T Advisor is in a very easy to follow and logical format that makes it very simple to be able to author the annotations. Now, one thing that to orient these annotations, once they're created using GD&T Advisor, you will use the native tools within Creo to be able to do that. So let me move this out of the way. So you go to the Annotate tab, and then you'll want to add all of your annotations to a combination state. So I have combination states that have already been created. If you're not familiar with how to create those, underneath the Annotate tab, you have your combination states tools here, where you can create a new one and update it. So after you create a new one, you will position your model in a way in the way that you want it to be viewed, and then you can click update, and that will capture your combination state, or capture the orientation for the model for your combination state. So like I said, I've already created combination states for these, and once you use the Annotate tab to add to state. If you right click on the annotation and choose change or go to current orientation, underneath the named orientation, this is where you would choose the plane in which you want the annotation to be oriented. So I'm going to choose front, and then from here, this is where you would change the orientation or the angle of your annotation. So then if we view this from the direction of the combination state, we see that we can change the angle, or actually maybe we'll put it back here, flip the viewing direction. So there's some, you have to play with it a little bit just to make sure that you get everything oriented in the way that you wish. I'll do it for Datum B, and then I can show you how to actually import this into your drawings. So here we would go back to Annotate. We can add this to our front view. And then change the current orientation to be the front view. And then when it does that, when we do that, we can see how the annotation is now put in that plane. And just to make it a little bit easier, I'm just going to move this out, and we can change the reference for the datum feature symbol to be attached to the feature control frames. And then if we go ahead and click on this again, we can go back and not change the reference, but we want to change the current orientation and basically change the angles at which this is viewed. So 180 probably be what we want, and then go back and look at this at the front. So after doing all that, you just want to make sure that everything actually visually looks the way that you want it to look. Okay. So I'm not going to go through doing that for every last one of those. But what we will do is go ahead and open our drawing. And we'll pick our general view. We'll pick the front view. I like everything to be no hidden. And if we apply that, although I didn't change the color for the view, you can see how all the annotations that are currently in that view will be visible. And then the same thing would apply to a projection view. See, where's projection view at? I'll click this. There it is. So if we had any annotations that were oriented in the top view, then they would automatically appear as well. Okay, so that's how you can use GD&T Advisor to author annotations. That's how you can use the Creo tools to orient the annotations in a view that you would like to be used in your drawings if you wish to create drawings. So now let's, any questions about any of that before we move forward with discussing some of our tolerance analysis tools and how these annotations could be used or leveraged by our tolerance analysis tools?
One quick question about, so this applies to a part file, correct? Not an assembly?
That is correct.
When we have like a sheet metal plate with some PEMs in it, this tool would not be available to that situation.
Not for an assembly.
Okay.
Now, you know, if there was some way that you could actually have those pins and the sheet metal plate as one part, then yes. Okay. Any other questions? Thank you for that question, by the way.
I have a question.
Mhm.
I try to, this one work or this one, trying to find the right. If I create the feature control frames outside of GD and tolerance or GD&T advisor, it doesn't read them.
No, it will read them.
Well, I just did that and it won't. Yeah, it telling me that some annotations have not been validated by GD&T advisor.
Right.
So, and it doesn't, so nothing shows up. It's like starting over. So is that a bug in the system? Why is not reading the feature control frames outside of GD&T advisor?
You know, there's that's something that I would need to look into and can get back with you about. But it should be able to read annotations that are created using the native Creo tools.
Unless it wasn't created as an annotation, maybe it was not created as an annotation, as a model-based annotation. It was created just as a regular feature control.
Okay, so it wasn't associated with any of the surfaces.
It was applied to the dimensions.
Okay, so if they were just applied to dimensions and not the surfaces, then that could be the reason why GD&T Advisor is not recognizing them, because with GD&T Advisor, everything is being semantically defined. That means that it's being associated with the actual features in the model.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Thanks.
All right. Any other questions before we transition?
So I had a question about the the hole pattern definition. You did at the top of the part. If you were to add like a third hole or something like that, would I don't know if that was done in like a pattern for the feature, or that those are two separate holes. But does the GD&T advisor update that at all to identify that as an additional hole if you add it like in a pattern, you had 3 holes instead of 2 holes?
Good question. I believe that the additional hole would need to be added. It wouldn't be something that would be automatically updated.
Okay.
But that's something that I can verify also. Are all you guys' contact information? Does Judith have your contact information? Or if you wouldn't mind, for those of you who ask questions, if you don't mind putting your contact information in the chat, then on things like that, where I need to follow up with you, I can get back with you. So yeah, if you can ask that question in the chat with your email address, then that'd be the way that'd be an easy way for me to be able to follow back up. All right. Okay. So let's go ahead and transition into looking at briefly looking at our tolerance analysis tools. You know, like I said earlier, you know, if you're authoring these annotations, but how do you know if the tolerance values that you're including in the annotations is actually preserving your design intent? Also embedded within the Creo environment, we have Easy Tolerance Analysis extension, which is our 1D tolerance analysis tool. Can be accessed underneath the Applications tab. And all the tools that we would use to add in and manage our stackups are in this tool ribbon here. So what I'm going to do, we're going to add in a stackup, and this one that I'm adding in, we're going to look at the vertical misalignment between the bushings. So what I did is choose the start and end features of the stackup, chose the direction to be normal to this top surface, and then chose a plane for where the annotations are going to be shown in the model. Now, here we're taking advantage of the assembly constraints that are already in your top level assembly. And this is actually showing part loop paths that are available based off of those constraints. So we're going to choose this path because the misalignment part loop would start at the center axis of this bushing, go all the way up through the axle support, through where the axle support and the top plate join, to the top surface, and then back down to the center axis on the opposite side. So we click OK, and then in our stack of details table, here you can see all of the stack of dimensions that are associated with the stack up. And then in the stack of details table, we can see all the components that are part of the stack up, and then the features that are part of the stack up within each component. And then along with that, we have the tolerance information. And this link actually represents a dimension that we are linked to in the part model. So this represents PMI or your model-based definition annotations that we've imported into the tolerance analysis to be used for the tolerance analysis. So this is one way that your annotations can be used in our tools. The results for your tolerance analysis are given at the bottom, and the objectives is where you would let Easy TA understand how much variation you can allow for in this particular requirement. We support an RSS and generalized statistical analysis along with a worst case. So that are some of the capabilities of the tool, along with giving you an understanding of what's actually contributing to variation in your design. And along with this, we also have CETOL, and I'm going to close out of EasyTol to show you CETOL. And CETOL will work in tandem with your active session of Creo. And I'm going to import an analysis that was already completed. And this map to CAD function is actually used if you have an analysis that you've completed in another model and you'd like to use it in a different assembly, then the map to CAD function actually facilitates you being able to do that. And here we have that same vertical misalignment measurement. And let's look underneath our axle support. Here you can see how we have the value for datum B, this perpendicularity. We also have actually, let me make sure I import the right annotation there. Oh, had an unexpected crash there. Apologize. But basically, the annotations are located underneath the features that are shown in our model tree. And let me go ahead and import that. Okay. See, delink that. Okay. There we go. Okay, there must be a small bug or something with my installation. But basically, the annotations can be used in either EasyTall or CTall. And as I mentioned before, CTall is our 3D tolerance analysis tool. So if you look at the actual results that we have, you can actually see that they're outside of our upper and lower spec limit that we specified. You probably didn't notice, but the EasyTall results that we had received were plus or minus 0.75 millimeters. This is actually a little bit outside of that. And just to show you, how this is not necessarily a 1D tolerance analysis, we have animations that will actually show you the worst case range of the variation. So the green arrow represents what we're trying to measure, which is the misalignment between the bushings. And this animation is actually giving us an understanding of the worst case variation range. And you can see that there are rotations that are happening that were not necessarily wouldn't be necessarily accounted for in a 1D analysis. And then just like in EasyTall, you can see how the contributions will give you an understanding of what's actually contributing to the variation, both from a statistical standpoint and a worst case standpoint. So I like to just leave the floor open for any questions that you may have about GD&T Advisor, EasyTA, or CTall.
Yeah, for Easy Tolerance Advisor, so that when we were looking at the stack up details for the easy tolerance analysis, that all of those dimensions and tolerances, those fed in automatically from the work that we did at the component level. Is that correct?
That's right. So Any annotations that you would create using GD&T Advisor can be used in EasyTA, or also can be used in CTOL. Now, I'd just like to say that to use EasyTA and in CTOL, you don't have to have annotations in your part models. There are ways to manually add in the feature relationships, the tolerances in both tools. So it's not a requirement that you have to have the annotations in your part models to be able to use either of our tolerance analysis tools.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions before we wrap up? I know we have until, I think, until 12:55.
I see a couple of questions in the chat. So they're asking if this is in Creo 7, and then asking if CETOL uses Monte Carlo analysis.
Okay, so currently right now I'm using Creo 4, but we do have CTOL available to be used for Creo 7 as well as EasyTA. And no, this is not a Monte Carlo analysis. CTOL is a equation-based tool, and there's certain advantages that that gives us. First of all, with a Monte Carlo analysis, you don't have to try to, with our tool, you don't have to try to understand how many runs you need to make in order to make sure that you get a good statistical distribution. Everything is equation based, and that actually gives us the ability within the tool to be able to make quick judgment calls on how to make improvements to the design. So if we, for instance, see that this is the highest contributor, and when we highlight it, we can see that contribution in the model, and we see what that contributor is associated with, and it happens to be this tolerance, where we have this profile of a surface of 0.5 reference back to Datum A. If we reduce the tolerance, we can quickly see what would happen if we reduce that tolerance from 0.5 to 0.3. So we've improved the design by doing that. So we're able to quickly look at those different ways of being able to improve the design because we're an equation-based tool versus a Monte Carlo tool. Any other questions that may have popped up in the chat? Let me see.
I was just gonna, there's a question about the recording. Yes, Zoom is supposed to be recording this into the cloud, and it takes 15-30 minutes after the presentation is done for it to come back to me. And so if everything went okay, I will post the recording in our Facebook BadgerUG user group and the LinkedIn BadgerUG user group. If you're not in that, you can go ahead and contact me, deborah.l.white@gmail.com, and I'll send the link to the recording to you. And then it also will get on our BadgerUG user group website, but it might take, the weekend for that to appear. BadgerUG.com.
Yeah. Well, I'd just like to thank everyone for being involved today. Also, would like to let you guys know that we do have computer-based training available for GD&T Advisor, along with Easy Tolerance Analysis Extension. We also have computer-based training that will be available later for CETOL. So we do have that available if you would like to participate in that to get more of an understanding of how the tools work. And if you have any additional questions, for us, this is how you'd be able to contact us directly. If you walk away from here and have questions that you didn't think of during our discussion.
Great, thanks, Raman. And unless there's any more questions, go ahead and shout them out. Otherwise, our next session is June 11th, Friday, noon, with TriStar talking about what's new in Creo 8. And if you have any, I don't have anything scheduled for July or August yet, or we could even do late June. If you have suggestions for topics, if you want to see Bart talk about surfacing or something like that you haven't seen for a while, go ahead and reach out to me and I'll try to make it happen. Otherwise, if you guys don't ask for topics, then I just kind of choose my favorite topics. So go ahead.
I'd like to,
go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt, but I have
That's
a
okay.
question, maybe a topic of discussion for next time is with the new enhances on Creo 7, I'm trying to remember the name of the new, one of the best features is, one of the best updates is you're able to assemble two parts within the same part.
Right, multi-body, which
Multi-body,
I always
yeah.
get mixed up with model-based design.
Yeah.
But we have done a couple of sessions on that, I think 2 or 3 over the winter.
And how does that pair with GD&T Advisor and CETO? Is that nothing changes or is still the same, or can you go
So-
back and forth?
Raman, can you talk about that?
Yeah, so CTOL doesn't recognize multi-bodies. It's going to treat a component as a component. I'm not sure how GD&T Advisor would address that. So that's something that I would have to circle back with you about. So please put that in the chat so that we can get back with you about that. And that'll also go for EasyTA. Both of the tolerance analysis tools are going to treat a component as a component and will not recognize the multi-bodies as separate entities. But as far as how GD&T Advisor would deal with that, GD&T Advisor is just going to focus on the feature that you're going to add in an annotation to. So it's not really going to look at the body, I believe, in GDTA and recognize that as a separate body. It's just going to look at associating your annotation with the feature that you're targeting, to have your annotation associated with it.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, I'd just like to thank everyone for their participation today, and I hope you found our discussion valuable, especially if you're thinking about going back and using GD&T Advisor, especially if you've been exposed to it before and then didn't use it. And hopefully, this will give you some additional confidence to be able to use it in your day-to-day workspaces, and then hopefully we pique some of your interest in the tolerance analysis tools, especially if you're using spreadsheets. I would comment that when you're building an analysis using a spreadsheet, you're basically having to take your own knowledge of what is causing variation in your designs and make sure that you mathematically represent that in your spreadsheet. And with our tolerance analysis tools, the math is done for you in the background, so you don't have to worry about some equation being off or some value being fat fingered as you're building that in your Excel spreadsheet. And then also, sometimes you don't know what you don't know. You know, there could be other sources of variation that could be an issue that you're not capturing in your spreadsheet. And that's the advantage of being able to associate your tolerance analysis with an actual solid model, where we mimic for you in the solid model how it's actually operating in the real world, which is what you want. So, you know, hopefully we pique some interest, you know, for you there, as far as the tolerance analysis tools are concerned. So I believe we're out of time. It's 12:55, and I'd just like to wish all of you a happy Friday.
Thanks, Raman, and thanks, Alana. Talk to you guys later. Thanks so much.
Thank you,
Thank
Roman.
you.
Great lesson.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
So everything that's captured in the chat, will we get that?
I think I can do that. I will definitely try.
Raman, I saved it already.
Oh, good.
Oh, you did?
Thanks,
Oh, thank
Alana. She's better at Zoom than me. Thank you.
No worries. No worries.
All right. Everyone take care.
Okay, bye now.
Bye.
Bye.